Hi folks, Chris O'Neill from Brotherwise Games here. We are going to do a little playthrough of Call to Adventure, which many of you have requested. But first I want to say thank you for all your support on the campaign. It's been fantastic, it's been heartening. We're feeling the love and sending the love right back. Alright, let's jump into this. So, Call to Adventure. David and I are competing to create the hero with the greatest destiny. We've each been dealt 2 origin cards, 2 motivation cards, and 2 destinies. Our origin tells us what our starting abilities are, our motivation gives us some powers, our destiny tells us what our individual win conditions are going to be. David's already chosen his. He went with the Settler, which gives him a point of Constitution and a point of Intelligence. He's taken Chosen by the Light, which is a motivation that allows him, if he stays on the light side of things, the good side, allows him to buy hero cards with experience. I don't know what his destiny is over there. Given the presence of intelligence here and the spell buying here, I won't be surprised if it's some magical related destiny. We've each got our 3 experience points. We're each starting with our hero card. Our corruption tracks each start on the starting point where we are both able to spend or to play hero and anti-hero cards. Okay, I'm taking a look at my starting set here. I've got Noble and Beggar as my origins, Thirst for Knowledge and Soul Survivor as my motivations, Hero of Destiny and Force of Darkness as my destinies. I'm gonna go dark side here. You know, I immediately see this Force of Darkness. That guy jumps out at me. Soul Survivor is going to feed into that well. Thirst for Knowledge is a good one, lets me buy intelligence. But Soul Survivor lets me buy hero and anti-hero cards, but at a cost. I'm not allowed to keep allies around. And then lastly over here, Noble and Beggar. I'm going to go Beggar just because I like that he starts with Dexterity and Charisma. Both of those are things which are likely to play into the Force of Darkness going to dark side paths. We'll see. Hopefully I'll get lucky with those. Okay, so David's got his starting set, I've got my starting set. I've dealt out 4 of the Act 1 cards. We would deal out another one in a 4-player game. We've popped up a couple card types here. One, we've got a trait. That trait is Adventurous. Traits you gain simply by paying their cost or meeting their condition. We've got some challenges here as well. I see Childhood Rival, Armed Robbery, Thieves Guild, all of these we have to meet the challenge's difficulty cost. In Act 1 they're pretty low. We've got a 3 difficulty, a 3 difficulty, and a 4 difficulty. The Thieves Guild and the Armed Robbery both have harder paths down at the bottom. The harder paths have a little +1 difficulty marker. That means we simply raise the difficulty to 4. I'm looking again, I like darkness paths. I see one darkness path out there. It's actually the Childhood Rival. So I'm thinking my Beggar, he's out in the streets, he's trying to make an honest living begging, but this guy just won't leave him alone. So he's going to go after that Childhood Rival, and while a better person would try to win that rival's loyalty, not my guy. My guy's going in guns blazing. He's going to try to crush this guy. So I declare my path. That is Crush Your Rival. I'm actually going to slide the card down slightly to remind everyone at the table that that's the one I'm going to. Now, whenever I face this challenge, I roll the basic runes. The basic runes have 1 success on one side and 0 successes on the other side, except for the magic rune, which has 0 successes, but the option to draw a hero or anti-hero card. Now, I'll also add in any of the abilities that are listed on the left-hand side of the card. In this case, Charisma and Strength are skills that I could bring to this fight. I look at my Beggar, he's got 1 point of Charisma. That means that I reach over here, I grab the Charisma icon, all right, or the Charisma rune, sorry. Ability runes have a single success on one side, a double success on the other side. So I'm rolling 4 runes here to meet that 4 difficulty. It looks like I'm going dark side. Every turn I have the option to pay 1 to 3 experience tokens to buy a dark rune. I'm going to pay that one. I'm going to grab my dark rune. The dark runes have a single success on one side, a double success on the other side, but if I roll the moon, if I roll the double success, then I'm going to slide my corruption tracker down 1. Now that affects my final points for the game, as you can see there. As I go darker, I'll pick up a little bit more corruption, or a little bit more tragedy points, but eventually too dark, I start to lose points. So let's see what happens here. I'm ready to throw these guys. I need to roll 4 successes. All right, look at that. Okay, I've got 1 success, 3 total, 5 total. I did it. I'm glad I threw in that dark rune. I would have missed it otherwise. Having said that, I did roll the dark rune. I am going down the corruption track a little bit, but oh ho, remember, my Force of Darkness gets rewarded with 3 tragedy points if I have 2 or more corruption. So I'm gonna get there one way or another, and I might as well start now. I take the card that I won, I'm gonna slide it under my Act 1 card, or the currently unfilled act, and I've achieved 1 point there of tragedy, and I've gained a point of strength. I end my turn by turning over the next card. In this case, it's another trait, Rebellious. David, what are you thinking?
Thinking I have a tough road ahead of me.
Yeah? What do you got? So you're showing Constitution, you're showing Intelligence. Neither of these challenges are super achievable, although Armed Robbery, that 1 point of Constitution, that's pretty good for a 3 difficulty challenge. But if you're feeling nervous about it, you know, one of these guys might do it for you as well. You can just pick up the trait.
I think I'll do that. It's a fairly safe bet, and it'll help me along build up my settler.
Yeah, okay, so it sets him up to tackle more Constitution things. He's going to move that all the way up so the active part is showing. Now, in order to pick up Adventurous, David needed either spend a experience point or have 1 point of Constitution. He had the point of Constitution from his origin card. He's good to pick that up. Now, good time to talk about story icons. Adventurous has the nature story icon. Story icons are only useful if you have more than 1 of them. Singly, they're not worth anything. You get 2 of them, they're worth 2 points. You get 3 of them, they're worth 4 points. You get 4 of them, they're worth 8 points. So that's our story icon there. There's 6 story icons in the base game there. Now, we've had a new card come out. Now, this is one of the cards that's been unlocked as a stretch goal. It's an ally. It's a different type of story card. Allies have to be placed under a challenge. The person who's ending the turn, David, you get to determine where that guy is going to go.
I'll put it under the Thieves Guild.
All right. Now, if I beat it, though, I'm going to get this ally and add them to my tableau and get the ability. In the case of Animal Companion, I can spend 1 experience or sacrifice this ally to gain a point of Constitution until the end of turn. It helps me with challenges. Now, my guy, because he's got Soul Survivor, allies are not going to stick around very long, so maybe you're not that worried about me getting it.
Right.
All right, we're gonna. Let's tackle that Thieves Guild. So David challenges me by putting the ally there. I'm gonna go ahead and answer the challenge because I think I got this. I'm gonna get the 3 basic runes. I'm gonna throw in 1 for Charisma because I have 1 point of Charisma, and this challenge lets me do Charisma and Dexterity. And I'm going to throw in 1 point of Dexterity as well, because I have that too. I'm going to go with Train as a Spy. Now normally the top row here would be 3 difficulty, the bottom row with +1 would be 4 difficulty, but the Animal Companion ally adds 1 difficulty to the entire card. So even though this would normally be 3 difficulty, I'm going after a 4 difficulty card here. So let's just see, I think I can get this. Oh, I did not. Okay, I failed this challenge. That's all right. Failure's not such a bad thing in the game. Just like in the heroic journey, the hero learns from their failures. You always get 1 experience point when you fail a challenge. But remember, I'm the beggar. Whenever I fail a challenge that has a dexterity icon or a charisma icon, I'm going to gain an extra 2. It's not going to double up in this case. I'm going to get the extra 2 charisma from this guy and add that there. Now, why is that important? Remember that experience is something I can spend on a twist of fate. There also unspent experience is worth 1 point per token at the end of the game. So believe it or not, there are some strategies in the game that take advantage of failing every now and then. Okay, so that turn is done. When I fail a challenge, the challenge disappears. So David's not going to have a chance at that guy. Instead, I'm going to put out a new card. And actually, before I do that and end my turn, I am going to take advantage of Soul Survivor, and I'm going to pay 1 experience and draw an anti-hero card.
So, I got my trait, so now I have 2 Constitution.
Yeah.
That means I think it's time for me to tackle the challenge. And the armed robbery seems like a good one to attack because there is the Constitution trait there. And I'll likely choose Calm Your Attacker. Help me get some charisma.
Okay.
And I think I'm ready to go.
All right, so you're going after Calm Your Attacker. So you'll be adding in the base runes always. And then how many Constitution do we need for you?
I have 2.
All right. Do you have any charisma? It calls for charisma as well.
I do not have any charisma.
Okay. So let's see. You're rolling the 3 basics and 2 ability runes.
I think I'm going to take it safe and also throw in the extra.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're going to crush this one, I think. So to do that, you're going to pay 1 experience point.
Yes. So that goes in.
All right.
There.
And you just need to roll 3 successes here.
Oh, damn. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, okay, so you crushed it. You got 6 points there. And you did not roll the corruption side of the dark rune. Right. So that is yours. You have now calmed your attacker and gained a point of charisma.
Great. So that comes.
And you'll turn a new card over.
Here we go.
And, ooh, we got the street fight challenge. Ooh, I like street fights being a beggar. That's tempting. I am gonna take that on, I think. Story-wise, that first taste of striking back, that felt good. I'm going for more. So I've become a bit of a street fighter here. Becoming a bit of a habit, I guess you could say. And it's time, I think, that I learned to fight dirty. So I'm gonna try to pick up another point of dexterity. I like the way that looks. So to roll 4 here, I think we're in good shape for this. But boy, man, I don't want to miss another card. I am going to pay another experience point to add in another dark rune. I just really want to make sure I get it. Now, part of the game here, as you can see, there's a little bit of push your luck. You can make things easier on yourself with those dark runes, but you also run the risk of getting too much corruption. For me, again, my destiny actually encourages a little bit of corruption, so let's see if I can pull this off. Here we go, casting the runes. Lovely, okay, so again, I crushed it. 7 over 4. I didn't need to add in that dark rune, but that's okay. Once I take on that extra bit of corruption, I actually gain a couple tragedy points on my corruption track. The downside is I've now lost the ability to play hero cards. So I lost that white triangle on the corruption track, which tells me no longer can play hero cards. This one in my hand is going to stay in my hand and not be of use. The reason that matters is that Twists of Fate are only worth points if I can get them onto the table. If I'm able to play that, it's worth 1 point to me at the end of the game. In the case of a hero card, it's worth 1 triumph point. In the case of an anti-hero card, it's worth 1 anti-hero point. But you know, for now, that's okay. I'm committing to the dark side, and things will work out. I have no doubt. I did learn to fight dirty. I feel like my Force of Darkness is kind of coming together here. Feeling good about my storyline there, and ready to take full advantage of that. Okay, so Act 2 is going to be opened up once the first player has 3 cards under their Act 1 card. We're going to play a couple more hands here, and then we'll show you what that looks like. So, we had a good Act 1. You picked up a intelligence rune, or intelligence icon, and another story icon. I actually did end up going after that orphan because I like the darkness points there. It did push me down, so I lost some corruption on my, I lost some points on my corruption track. We got 4 Act 2 cards out. They're a little bit more difficult, but they now start to give us a little bit more. Now we're seeing some triumph and tragedy points show up on those paths. It is your turn, David. What are you thinking about doing?
I'm thinking about attacking the Perilous Dungeon. I can still use my 2 Constitution on that.
Nice.
So go ahead and give me 2.
All right.
But with that difficulty of 4, I still think I need to use an experience point to get a dark rune.
Okay.
So I'll grab that as well.
Got it.
And I'm gonna roll.
All right, let's do it.
There you go. All right. All right. Well,
So you got 3 successes off those guys. You got 2 off the dark rune there.
Yep.
So you are going to drop down the corruption track. That's going to mess up your chosen by the light motivation, unfortunately. But you're pulling out a spell.
right, I'm gonna play Deny the Dark one,
Okay.
which will let me.
That'll move you up 1 on the corruption
Yes.
track. So back to where you were before. So whenever you gain suns, you move up the corruption track. Whenever you get moons, or in this prototype, skulls, you're going to go down the corruption track. And now you've got a point there of played spell. So you can put that out on your tableau somewhere, and we'll keep track of your points from that there. These options for me are a little bit tough, but I'm liking Corrupt Official. I think I might try to grab another point of Charisma. And plus, I like the story icon. I've been rolling down in the dirt with the not so nice people. Running into a corrupt official and paying a bribe would be right up my alley. So let's do that. I'm going to pay the bribe. I can apply charisma and my strength to this. And boy, I am loath to pick up 1 more corruption because that puts me into negative point territory. So I'm gonna throw down Desperate Rage. I love this card. It really keys off my bad boy image here. I'm gonna get +1 for every tragedy icon in my story, not those on the corruption track. I'm gonna get 1 from Orphan, 1 from Crush Your Rival, 1 from Soul Survivor. That's gonna make the overall difficulty of this a 1. So this is actually a pick-me-up. I know that with these guys I'll roll at least 1, but I'm going to do it anyway because I always have a chance of rolling the magic rune. And I did. All right,
so now I see a card out there that matches perfectly with what I have. So I'm going to tackle on that challenge because the Desert Caravan has both Charisma and Constitution, which means I will get 3 additional runes for my roll.
So you would throw in 2 Constitution and a Charisma. It's difficulty 4, so yeah, you're looking pretty good for that. It also gives you a nature story icon, so you can start to build some story icon points.
Right, and I already have...
If you go that way.
Yeah.
Were you thinking about doing Survive a Harsh Journey or Earn a Vast Fortune?
Survive a Harsh Journey, because I already have one of those storylines.
Okay, so you're trying to get the story icon. Got
Yes.
it? All right. So I like it. I like your moxie, David, but I'm going to try to futz with this a little bit here. So I'm going to sabotage you. I'm going to play this as you're about to face the challenge. The challenge has +1 until end of turn. The only thing you can really do in response to the sabotage is add in some dark runes. So if you want to, you could throw in a dark rune there. You're probably still good at difficulty 5, but there's a chance I catch you here.
I'll just chance it. I don't have a lot of experience left and I need to save these experience tokens.
Okay.
So, all right, I'm going to give it a throw.
Oh my God, you destroyed it. You know what? That is ridiculous. No, David, no. Dark Lord's Champion. Play this after an opponent has faced a challenge. You must now face it again, and it now has +1. So It is again going to be at 5 difficulty. Those are not going to stack there because it's like we're redoing the challenge. But that throw was ridiculous. That's like literally practically the best throw you could get.
All right, I guess I'll have to give it another try, and hopefully history repeats itself.
Noonan. Oh, jeez. Okay, yes, you beat it by 1 this time. All right, fine. It's meant to be. It's meant to be. All right. Fates had it meant to be. Okay, so we've moved on to Act 3, and some interesting things happened here. David filled up his Act 2 card first. He grabbed Commune with Nature, which gave him that 3rd nature icon and a wisdom icon there. Unfortunately, I miffed on another card. It was a charisma challenge, so I got 3 additional experience out of that. But what I ended up having to do is, after David grabbed his first Act 3 card, which was Banish the Fiend, I was actually able to grab an Act 3 card and put it under my Act 2 slot. So I went after the Witch's Den. I got really lucky there, but I had 3 dexterity that I could apply to it. And I stole the Witch's Tome. Again, I like the story line there. Feeling like stealing the Witch's Tome, maybe that's the thing that takes me from being just a bad guy to being the force of darkness later on. So this actually got slid under there. It's now back to David, and he's got to pick up his second Act 3 attempt.
So I'm looking down at the board, and I've been following a strong Constitution sort of quest character this entire way, and Army of the Dead is the perfect challenge for me because I've got a ton of Constitution, and I can get more runes here. I can get a total of 5 runes actually in this attempt against a 7.
So you're doing your 3rd Constitution rune now, which means you get the 2 basics. You're also going to throw in the 3rd ability rune there for Constitution. The 3rd rune in each set has the double success on one side. On the other side, it's got 0 successes, but a special ability. So in this case, it gives you an experience token if you roll that guy. Keep in mind, these are just some prototype ones we're playing with. The real experience tokens in the game are going to be red diamonds. So let's see here, David. You also get how many wisdom?
I got 2 wisdom.
2 wisdom. So you've got 1 from Commune with Nature, and you've got 1 that you've just picked up in Act 3 with Banish the Fiend. You're looking good here. However, this is a 7 difficulty challenge.
Right. I'm going to play some of my hero cards. I'll play Comrade in Arms, and also Brilliant Plan, which lets me add another wisdom rune.
Nice, and you're getting those points out on the table.
Yes. And this will let me actually play the 3rd wisdom rune, correct?
So you managed to get another virtuous icon. You got 3 triumph points. You got a 3rd wisdom icon as well. So well done. Slide that under there. Okay. I am looking at my board and thinking, I don't like the look of this. There's not a single dark path on here. We haven't done this much this game. I'm actually going to pay to cycle 1 card. So once per turn, I can pay 1 experience point to take 1 card off the board and put a new one out. I feel like this is a good time to do that. And you've been going for Wisdom and Constitution, suggesting you're getting points off of those. I'm going to get rid of the card that just came out, which was Demon Horde. And I'm going to put out here and hope for Tyrant's Army. Okay. Okay, I can deal with this. It's not my favorite, but on the other hand, it's better than anything else that's out there for me. For one thing, it's slightly easier in difficulty. So I am going to face the Tyrant's Army. Okay, I want to make sure I get this one. And even though it has the chance to take me into negative point territory on the corruption track, I'm playing all or nothing. It gives me 2 dark runes, you know, it's about as good a chance I can get here. I'm going to fight on the front lines and try to pick up another point of strength just to balance myself out here for the last little bit. All right. Oh goodness, that's a lot of corruption. All right, I killed this one. I got 8, 10, 11 on it. I am going to get the Tyrant's Army. I am going to fight on the front lines. I don't like that it's a triumph point. I feel like that takes me off story a little bit. But I'm going to spin this one and say that my Force of Darkness has now gone into battle and is actually starting to become the unholy killing machine he was meant to be. I also got a spell rune, so I'm going to draw another anti-hero card there and put out, ooh, the Crypt of Horrors. All
I think I will take on the Crypt of Horrors. I still have 3 wisdom.
Okay.
And I also have a dexterity, so I'll have 4 extra runes to throw against the challenge of 6.
All right, and are you going to do the top or the bottom?
The bottom, I'm going for wisdom.
You're going for wisdom. Okay, you've been picking up a lot of wisdom.
All right.
Now you need a 7 difficulty here. Anything you want to do to improve your chances here?
I think I'm confident in this one. I believe I've been rolling well all day.
All right.
I'm just going to throw it.
All right, let's see what you got.
Okay.
Yes,
yep.
You are. You have been rolling like a fiend. All right. So you destroyed the Demi-Lich. That's going to give you 5 triumph points and a wisdom. So,
okay.
And that is the last card for you in Act 3.
Well, that means...
Anything you want to do before you end?
Yes, I'll then play my hero card of Deny the Dark One.
Oh, of course you will.
Because that will take me all the way up.
Okay, so David has gotten his 3rd Act 3 card, which means every other player in the game, meaning me, has 1 more turn left in the game. Looking at what's out there, I am chasing down those dark paths because of my destiny. And looking like Slay the Archmage as my path for Trial of the Magi is my best option here. I also like that from a story perspective. So the problem, as you can see from my board, is that I have no intelligence whatsoever. So I would have to do something crazy to make this happen. And as it turns out, I've got something crazy. So I've got Desperate Rage there. Again, it's my 2nd Desperate Rage of the game. For every tragedy icon I've got, I'm going to get +1 for this. And in fact, that's going to let me one-shot this guy. I will roll the bones just to see what happens. I'll only be rolling the basic runes, however, because I have no intelligence. And I'm going to get 1 spell out of that. Okay, so I did succeed at the Trial of the Magi, and I slayed the Archmage. That is going to give me yet another anti-hero card and a 4 tragedy points. And now the game is over and we can go to final scoring. Okay, so I'm going to start my scoring by revealing my destiny, the Force of Darkness, as we knew. The first thing we're going to do is add up points that are on the board, starting with my destiny. I get 3 if I have 2 or more corruption. I do. I get 1 for each darkness path I took. I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That takes me up to 10. Now I can look at my triumph and tragedy points. 10 here takes me to 20, 25, 27, 28, 29, 30. I can add in my twist of fate, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Experience point takes me to 39, and then subtract 4 points here, and that takes me down to 35. I feel pretty good about that. 35 is not too bad. Let's go see what David got. Okay, so David is going to reveal his destiny. Ooh, he was the High Arcanist. The High Arcanist is going to get destiny points for intelligence and wisdom icons. That explains why he was going after the wisdom. He's also going to get 1 for each hero card in his hand. Now remember, normally you can't score cards that are in your hand at the end of the game, only those on the table. The High Arcanist breaks that rule and gives you some flexibility there. So, destiny points. I'm going to count up his wisdom and intelligence first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to count up his card in hand to 7. Then I'll do triumph and tragedy points that are out there. 10, 18, that's about it. Spells, 19, 20, 21, 22. Experience, 23, Corruption path tracker, gosh, takes him up to 31. And then I'm gonna throw in some story icons here. He's gonna go 4 points of nature, take him to 35. So he's beating me. Look at this. He's got 2 virtuous, that gives him 2 there. He beats me by 2 points, 37 to 35. It was a close game, but the Path of the Righteous wins out in this one, I'm afraid. So that was Call to Adventure, folks. You saw a 2-player game. Once you know what you're doing, a 2-player game can take 15 to 25 minutes, depending on how it rolls. I lost this one, but I felt good about it because I feel like my story came together better than David's. David's, no offense. I really like what happened here. If we had been playing a multiplayer game, 3 or more, and if we had been playing with the optional storyline rule, we would vote to award story points at the end of the game. I would get a chance to tell my story. So I like the story I'm seeing. My Force of Darkness starts in the streets as a beggar. He starts to get into street fights. He's orphaned, you know, he's been left on his own. He's got to fight to survive. He learns to fight dirty. He ends up crushing his rival in sort of a climactic battle amongst the street urchins. That sends him on to a different kind of life. He becomes a mercenary. Things are going all right, but eventually he ends up hiding from a big fight. You know, it turns out there's a little bit of cowardice here as well as a little bit of playing dirty. He becomes the sole survivor of that fight, and something happens to him after that. Something that takes him in an odd direction that he didn't expect. He encounters a witch. Maybe he's wandering the countryside after the fight. He steals her magical tome. Maybe he slits her throat in the night, and that sets him off becoming this Force of Darkness. He becomes something bigger than just a bad person. He becomes badness itself. He ends up fighting in a great battle, leading forces of evil. The Archmage, maybe even the High Arcanist over there that David was playing, gets involved in that fight. He manages to slay the Archmage, and there's no turning back from there. He's taken on this mantle of evil and will wear it forever. I like that. That's a fun storyline for me, and that's half the fun of Call to Adventure, is seeing what your story looks like at the end of the game. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. That was Call to Adventure. You got to see some of the gameplay, you got to see some of the storytelling aspects of it. You see the basic rune adventure system that we had there. We love the runes, they're a lot of fun. If you're at Gen Con next week, come by the Brotherwise booth, 1639. We're going to be demoing Call to Adventure, as well as some of our other games. Boss Monster 3, Rise of the Mini Bosses is out, and Unearth. It's a chance to sit down and tell your hero's story. Come and join us, it'll be a lot of fun.